Okay, so I want to talk about Bitcoin's support area, not just the macro support, but the micro support as well, and how healthy is it, and how that influences not just the way I am keeping a track of the chart, but also what I plan on doing going forward. Now, there's two things I want to talk about: is Mara, how what I'm going to talk about influences Mara, going forward, because yesterday there was a question on when Mara could potentially break out due to people that have been holding on to Mara for quite a while, and Bitcoin continues to go higher, and Mara is still sort of in this discounted range throughout the whole year, even though Bitcoin has been making new highs. So I'm gonna go over that in detail. And these articles right here, I just want to go over because there's a lot of fear and FOMO being injected into the market, in my opinion, and it's causing a lot of confusion in the charts. So I want to also clear that up, especially as we near the FOMC meeting next week. So we know that S&P has been making record highs, like pretty much consistently. Another one today. It could be due to the Japan trade deal, and there's just a lot of optimism, regardless, in the market right now. I found this article and I read it. I'm not gonna give my opinions on it because you guys already know my view on Bitcoin if you've been watching for a while. I'm going to give you guys my conservative bull market cycle estimate, and that's going to influence Bitcoin as well. But I looked throughout this article, and it looks very interesting. I agree with the analysts. That's all I'm going to say. That and it all comes down to making a new high over 123K, and my conservative bull market top, before I go into detail on this chart and with Mara, is 150K. I believe that we can continue to see price fluctuations, and as we reach every other fib level within this green extension, I do believe we can see aggressive pullbacks. Just in my opinion, they won't last very long, and we've seen this happen every bull cycle where we make a significant high. This time around, we are consolidating quite, taking time to consolidate sideways. But as a lot of this tariff fear and inflation fear eventually go away, and interest rates begin to get cut pretty good, we can start seeing massive jumps and then strong dips that can last very shortly. But yeah, I'm just showing you guys I am very much bullish on Bitcoin throughout this year, but short term I am bearish. Now, I gave this area in yesterday's video to keep an eye on as a alternative scenario where we can see a bullish fake out before coming down and having a one more significant low before the price can be healthy enough to potentially go over the 1.236 extension at 128,000, which then opens the pathway up to roughly 136K. So the way I'm keeping track of this is, if you guys saw yesterday's video, the one before that, the new BitU position, the new BitU trade that I am accumulating now, I think I have like 45% of the capital I want to put into it currently in the trade active. And I'm waiting for discounted levels to want to add more. Now, just to go over this briefly, we've been seeing a lot of support areas and resistance areas respected quite well. We've been keeping track of Bitcoin in this channel and looking for short-term long positions within micro support areas to go up higher. But currently, the two main support areas I'm looking at is simple: is the opportunity for Bitcoin to have this retest of all-time high before it comes down more significantly. And basically, what that looks like currently is tracking from this low up to here, because this swing high obviously broke this one. It didn't have enough momentum to break this one, but there's still enough information here for us to look at that the price, it's consolidating within this retracement area. So if support continues to hold, and I personally believe it will not, there's two ways it can play out. It holds, we go up, and this will be a bullish fake out, retesting all-time high before we come down, have one more significant low, and then the price will go up and break into and over 128K, right? But ideally, due to the weakness within this, we're still holding that resistance or the retracement support I was talking about. But at the end of the day, regardless, this swing high wasn't enough to break this one. If we continue to see weakness, we can finally see the RSI bottom out to the downside, and this can create that final bearish momentum, causing fear coming into this overall major support, which is much more significant. And this is my primary support area around 110k. It could come down easily to 108,000, even 107,000. It can absolutely happen. But until then, we're looking for, not just a test within the red area. We're looking for these imbalance areas to finally be filled properly. Again, it doesn't really matter what happens. This is why I'm accumulating early and why I always say in a ton of videos prior to accumulating a swing position is I like to be early. Bitcoin trades 24/7. BitU does not trade 24/7. So I have no problem with getting in early when I believe that the dip will be short-lived and will be going up much, much sooner. Now, the alternative scenario, if micro support holds, is, we go up into this area. And once we do, I'll sell out of the position, take profit, and then conserve capital to see if we can, finally just come down. It could be a potential overall, very clearly overshooting wave prior to an FOMC meeting, and then we come down. This is also highly influenced to, for example, if we're seeing right now the S&P overall market trend higher prior to FOMC, when expectations are pretty much strong for what they're going to say, is it could be a potential southern news event. So if that happens, and this is speculation, but if the S&P is still holding all-time high prior to, just before the FOMC meeting happens, as it commences, then we can see a southern news event. And I'm very, very much curious to see if money flowing out of S&P can potentially flow into Bitcoin. There's still enough time left to see Bitcoin fluctuate before that meeting happens on Tuesday, I believe. We can still see, appreciation in Bitcoin. I'll be looking to sell because I do not want to hold Bitcoin if it rallies into the FOMC. I would rather sell just before that, lock in profit, and then let the price have its retracement, or just look for new signs of bullish confirmation. I don't want to hold if the price continues to go higher, but prior, we still have a lot of time left. So if the price continues to trend lower, I already told you guys in previous videos, I will be accumulating within all of these fib levels to accumulate early, build up that BitU position once again, just like we did back here in this area. This will be the equivalent before the price can go much, much higher. So, I'm just repeating myself at this point. And if we do break, I'm going to show you guys, if we do break this swing low right here, I will be invalidating this potential fake out, and instead we'll just be looking for a continuation to the downside. But as of right now, bulls and bears are battling pretty well. None of them are really winning. So I would rather keep a small position opened and then accumulate if I'm allowed to, if the opportunity presents itself. If it doesn't, then I would just be looking to sell, lock in profit, and buy in within the next setup as I see fit. So when it comes to Bitcoin or Mara, so if you guys remember in previous videos, throughout this year and even last year too, but throughout this year, we've been calling support areas and sell areas. So accumulation with Bitcoin, I don't really have a specific area I like to buy and call out some buy and sell signals just based on my own opinion. I like to use zones because the price is super sensitive to a lot of Bitcoin fluctuations and macro environment. But basically, we've been calling accumulation areas, sell areas, using imbalances and extensions. And then every time we come into retracement, it's a new accumulation area. So we had two opportunities to accumulate, nice opportunity to sell. We had another opportunity to accumulate, another opportunity to sell. And I kept saying, as we were in this area, I said, well, volume's weakening. We're in the sell area, so there's no reason to be overly optimistic and hyped up on MAR right now. At least, especially understanding that Bitcoin is also somewhat, overvalued in the very short term, and you can still see a continuation of a pullback. And then I also said in previous videos, as we were still within this blue area, I kept saying that any small weakness in Bitcoin can easily amplify Mara's fear. And what we now have is Mara came down into the orange support. It broke below the 120 moving average, and the RSI is now bottomed out, just like I was expecting. But this is I got a phone call. This is what matters, and that's that. Well, we're in the red area, so does that mean it's time to accumulate? Well, the thing is, yeah, but we gotta also remember that, just like I've been saying in many previous videos, that most of the time we tend to see the zero point 0.5 retracement fill or break, however you want to call it, which is currently at $15.70. So as Bitcoin continues to either, and this can play out in two ways, rather it has that fake out before it comes down, or just comes down more directly. Basically, the way this, I can translate this in my opinion is, it's as simple as Bitcoin having that fake out. This will allow, because it's kind of funny how a lot of this stuff sort of happens in such coincidental ways that it's kind of funny how it all plays out in certain ways. But we have this short-term bullish area where, I'm gonna try to change the color, where it can represent Bitcoin coming up into that fake out sell zone. And even if Bitcoin goes up there, doesn't mean Mara is going to amplify itself and go above the swing high. I don't believe so. There's still a lot of background factors I explained in other videos, but basically we can see Mara come up into this imbalance areas, and what that would do is that anyone that was keeping close eyes on this retracement area in red that accumulated today, I mean the market is still open, but anyone that accumulates now, in my opinion, will have the opportunity to keep track of the price and potentially sell. And actually it depends on what time factor you're looking at it, but it can either, the bottom of the range could be here or here, so around 1874 and 1832 supposedly. So the idea here is a bullish retracement within an overall downtrend. As you can see, we are downtrending, lower lows and lower highs. What this would do is allow the price to come into retracement, which overlaps with the imbalance, and this will be an opportunity for people that are buying within the red to sell within this area, as the opportunity to then later on buy once again a little bit deeper within the red. And we've seen this happen here, where Bitcoin or Mara goes into our red accumulation area briefly. It has a recovery that it's a bullish fake out. It causes a lot of hype before, as you can see, the swing high was below this one, and we can see that happen here as well. It doesn't mean it has to top out within this range, but I'm just saying that as of right now, based on Bitcoin and the macro environment, I do believe that we can still see the price can still come down lower, but that's why having a tight SL is very important. But basically, like, even if we go up higher, what I'm trying to say is that, you got to keep in mind that it's important to keep eyes on bullish fake outs, signs of that, because we can see the price easily like come up into this area right here. We have a nice range. It can cause hype, FOMO, people buy in. Next thing you know, we're just in retracement. We're in an imbalance on an overall small picture downtrend. So like price can easily reverse from here and come down lower. If that happens, then we can easily see the price finally break below the 0.5 retracement at 1568. Like, it can either happen now or it can happen soon, but this does provide an opportunity for short-term long trades, understanding where volume can reverse. We're in the discounted portion of the orange, so we're bottomed out on the RSI, so I wouldn't be surprised if we go up to create a higher low, which will be a nice selling opportunity. Short-term trade, super easy, like, SL, and then an opportunity to pick up once again a bit lower, right, between like 1430 and 1570 basically. So yeah, guys, basically sum up this video, like, there's a lot of signs right now that Bitcoin and Mara want to continue a healthy retracement. It doesn't have to, but if we have that bullish fake out, just understand it's probably not a good time, in my opinion, to be FOMO'd into the stock until we have bullish confirmation. So yeah, guys, but regardless, we're in that nice accumulation area with Mara. Either way, we finally broke it into it today. So just let's see how it goes. I'll keep you guys updated. The more Bitcoin and Mara trade, the easier it is to narrow down the possibilities of support and resistances holding and what seems more probable. So yeah, I'll keep you guys updated. Hope you enjoyed and take care.